Hey everyone, this is John Gatto, the Sports Information Director at the University of Scranton. And today we'll have an in-depth interview with Rebecca Russo, who was recently nominated by the Landmark Conference for the National NCAA Woman of the Year award, a very prestigious award. And last week we caught up with Becca to see how she is doing and how she feels about winning this award, among other things that you'll see in this interview, which hopefully everybody enjoys out there. A reminder to everybody out there to continue to follow us on social media, on Twitter and Instagram at Royal Athletics, and on Facebook. If you search the University of Scranton Athletics, you'll be able to find us there. So without further ado, here's our full interview with Becca Russo. All right, Rebecca Russo, a 2020 University of Scranton graduate, joins us now. Rebecca, how have you been doing? Obviously, we're in the middle of a quarantine still with COVID-19, so before we get into our other questions, I just want to ask how you've been doing and what have you been doing over these last few months? You obviously finished up your academic career online, virtually, so maybe talk a little bit about the challenges of that and just being home this entire period when you didn't experience a graduation or really anything that went into that at the end of May.
Yeah, so obviously lacrosse ended. It was all so abrupt. I remember we played Misericordia that Wednesday, and Coach T was telling us, this could be your last game, that kind of thing. It was like kind of up in the air. We didn't really know. The boys' game had gotten canceled the day before, so it was kind of more of a reality. And then our spring break trip got canceled, and we were sent home, and then we had the extended spring break. But it was still up in the air, and the Landmark was going to make that decision, I think, like mid-April about if we would still be able to play. As of that point, graduation was still on, and then things just really started shutting down, and it became a reality. So that was pretty crazy. As far as clinical for nursing, that got moved to online, which was definitely an adjustment. I think for our grade, we were seniors, so we had enough clinical exposure, so it wasn't as much of a, detriment to our learning experience in the nursing field, but it definitely was an adjustment. And then just being home was definitely a change. I mean, my parents actually were in the middle of moving from our house in Connecticut to our beach house in Rhode Island full time. So there were a lot of adjustments there. And then this summer I was just studying for my boards for nursing, and I ended up taking it last week. So now just on the search for a job and applying to hospitals.
Okay, cool. So obviously we're here today to talk about, your nomination. You were selected by the Landmark Conference for the NCAA Woman of the Year award. Prestigious honor for you. This is 2 straight years that a women's soccer student athlete from Scranton has been selected by the Landmark out of the entire list of nominees in the conference to be presented forward nationally for this award. There's only a handful of female student athletes that get nominated for this every year. So just wanted to ask what it means to you to be nominated for this and to be put kind of on the national stage for such a prestigious award from the NCAA.
That's obviously such a huge honor. I'm so thankful for the University of Scranton, both academically and athletically, for giving me so much. I mean, coming into college, I never in a million years would have envisioned the experience that I had. I'll be the first to say I did not love it first semester. I remember over winter break, I was telling my parents, I'm going to transfer, all this stuff. And now looking back, I honestly laugh at that because I can't imagine myself anywhere else. But I've just met so many amazing teammates. I mean, I've had great coaches, the athletic department as a whole, my nursing professors, all the other professors I've had. I just can't say enough about the university. So I'm just really appreciative for everyone I've met along the way.
Great. And obviously you just said that first semester you were thinking about leaving, but when you were a high school senior now, 4 years ago, when you were making your choice to come to college, we'll rewind back to that. What made you come to Scranton? What was kind of the main reasons why at that point as a high school senior, and it's such a big decision to make when you're a high school senior, what was the thing that made you decide to come to University of Scranton back in, I guess it's now 2016 that was, correct?
Well, our family friend actually was on the boys soccer team at Scranton. He was 2 years older, so they always talked about Scranton and they suggested you should look at it. And I remember saying I don't want to look there. I don't really have any interest in going to Scranton, Pennsylvania. For my club team for soccer, so many people were committing to Division I schools. I honestly was starting to get stressed. I was like, I need to be doing all these clinics. Like, all my teammates they're committing places, and this is like sophomore year of high school already. So I went to the clinic at Scranton in the summer, and I remember like telling my mom, I was like, I don't really see myself here. I didn't like love it, but I was like, I don't really know. So that was going into sophomore, junior year. And then the next summer I came to the clinic again. And when I left, I told my mom, I was like, I actually can see myself there. Obviously, Scranton has such a great nursing program, and that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I was like, I need to pick a school strictly for academics, and then if athletics come into play, I'll consider it. So I talked to Murph for soccer, and she had mentioned that there was a girl on the team currently who played soccer and lacrosse. So that definitely added to it. I mean, I never thought I'd be playing lacrosse in college. Didn't have any intentions of it, but honestly, it was the best decision I ever made. So that was really what sold it for me.
And playing those two sports, I mean, obviously, I played 0 sports in college. I know it's shocking. Playing one sport, obviously, there's a huge time commitment with that. But you decided right away that you wanted to play 2 sports, and I want to ask why. Why did you want to play 2 sports, knowing that it was going to be such a time commitment athletically to go along with such a rigorous academic program at Scranton and the nursing program?
Yeah, so both of my sisters played sports in college too, so I kind of saw what it was like for them. I mean, my older sister was a diver at University of Vermont, so that's Division I, and I saw that it was really intense. And then my middle sister went to Assumption College, so it's Division II, and she played lacrosse, and then she also dove her first year. But I was like, you know what, this is Division III. I think it is doable. And I had grown up playing sports my whole life. I really didn't ever go without playing a sport. So I figured that if there was someone on the team who was already doing it, I may as well give it a try. And honestly, I didn't know college without a sport. So for me, I think that was helpful. It wasn't like one semester, or it wasn't like in the spring, I didn't have a sport. So I was going to be adjusting in the fall. It was just always in season, and that's all I knew throughout college. So I think in that aspect, that's what helped me balance everything.
Playing 2 sports, obviously, a lot of memories probably were rolling through your head playing those 2 sports. Very successful run for both teams, which we've obviously on our website and social media channels have talked about over the years. But for each sport, kind of what was your kind of favorite moment and memory on the field in playing women's lacrosse and women's soccer at the University of Scranton?
I think for soccer, I would kind of group this whole past season as my favorite memory, just because my freshman and sophomore year, we won the landmark. And I don't know, I feel like as a freshman and sophomore, maybe you don't really understand the importance as much. And then junior year, we just get a brand new field and we come to the championship game and we lost in penalty kicks on our home turf. So that was definitely a huge, it felt wrong. But we ended up still getting an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament that year. So it was kind of like, okay, this is some momentum going into next year. It gives us a positive to look forward to. And then the beginning of this season, honestly, was not the greatest. We had so many injuries. I mean, I remember Callie slipped in the shower and got a concussion. Like, anything bad that could have happened to our team this fall, it happened. As far as regular season play, when we played E-Town, we lost regular season. Susquehanna, we lost to on senior day. So when you look at it that way, it's like, oh, wow, it wasn't that good of a season. But then things finally started to turn around. We had to go to E-Town for the semis because we weren't the number 1 seed like years past. And we go there in overtime, we end up winning. That gave us momentum. And then our championship game against Susquehanna, we won 3-0, which when you hear it, it sounds like, oh, it was not that close of a game, but it definitely was. It felt like it, at least while we were on the field. And then we got to go to Ohio, which was so fun. We played teams that were ranked much higher than us, so we kind of went in with the mentality of we have nothing to lose. And just that weekend in general was so fun. For seniors, it was just Ashley and I, so the team was really young, and I think that, it's unfortunate the circumstances we're in right now, but I think that gives momentum for years coming for the team. And then for lacrosse, probably like last season as well too, just because of the success we had, but probably the Messiah game, because that was really what got our season going. Coach T just came, new coach. It got us going on the right foot, and then we had such a successful season last spring, and it gave us momentum for future years too.
Now, obviously, athletics is not the only thing that you do when you are a college student athlete. There is that student part. So off the field, on campus itself, just some of the memories that are, that you really that really stand out in your mind from being just a student at the University of Scranton over these 4 years. Been a very successful student, very high GPA. You're an academic All-American in women's soccer this past year. So just talk about that a little bit. Just what it was like to be just a student at Scranton for 4 years.
Yeah, I think being a nursing student's a little different, just because once you get to junior and senior year, you're really with the same people. I mean, you go into class and you see the same faces all the time. Your clinical groups are small. So I think in that aspect, I really enjoyed that. When I was looking at colleges, that was a big factor, that I didn't want a big school. I didn't want to just be a number on a paper to professors. I wanted to know them personally. As far as nursing, I mean, the opportunities we were given is incredible. We were able to go to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia for our pediatric rotation. So I did that last spring. I ended up having to miss 2 lacrosse games on weekends, but my coaches obviously understand that student came first, especially at a Division III school. And for that, I'm really thankful. I mean, they could have given me a hard time about that, and they were completely understanding. And it was such an amazing opportunity that I'm really appreciative for.
Okay, cool. So another piece of this Woman of the Year award is kind of a service or extracurricular kind of part. It's not just an academic or an athletic award. There is more to it, volunteer service. And you went overseas on a mission trip. I believe it was it this past winter or
January.
This past January. Talk about what you did during that. It seemed like it was a pretty worthwhile trip for you, and it's something that obviously in your future career is really potentially could help you.
Yeah, it was such an awesome experience. So for a week, some nursing students and then 2 of our professors, we went to the Dominican Republic. It's through this group called Island Impact, and what we did was we would go to these ambulatory clinics. They're just set up throughout communities there in different villages. So we would set up early in the morning, and then we would have all these people come in we would take like temperature, all their vital signs, and just ask mostly what their chief complaint was. A lot of them would say it was called grippe, which is what we refer to as like the common cold, just like coughing, fever, being tired. And then we would send them over to like nurse practitioners or doctors that came along on the trip with us. And it was like obviously challenging because there's a language barrier, but we had translators there with us. So that was obviously super helpful, but it was just really cool to see the difference in healthcare obviously between America and the Dominican Republic. And the people there were just so appreciative. We would see between 100 to 400 people per day at these clinics, and they really have no other form of healthcare. So anything you do, they were more than appreciative of. All the little kids would come in. They were just running around. Some of them were pretty sick too, and they needed medicine, or actually I think they gave someone crutches, wheelchair, just anything they needed. It was just a really cool experience and very eye-opening, honestly. I came home and I was more than appreciative of little things, a lot more than I was before I went on the trip.
Terrific. So we'll end it with this. Obviously, your future. You've talked about your, now having your degree, taking your boards for nursing. So, what are your plans? If you, the position, what position do you want? What do you want to do with this nursing degree? And then on the flip side of that, we are still in a pandemic. Being a nurse right now, it's a challenging job. There's they are being pushed to the T, it seems like, across the board, trying to battle this. So just, twofold, where do you plan on really, going into in this nursing field? And then obviously just talk about some of the challenges that are going to come as you start your career in nursing.
Yeah, so my ideal field of nursing that I want to work in is pediatrics. So now that I've passed my boards, it's just a matter of applying places. It is a little different with a pandemic going on. Some places are still in hiring freezes just because it is a lot of money on hospitals and time to orient new grad nurses. And they obviously they're busy with a lot that's going on. But I think the whole thing has made me even more excited to go into the field just because it reiterates that there are so many people that need our help. And I'm just excited to get started. I don't know where I'm going to end up, but hopefully in the pediatric world, and then I'll go from there.
Okay, Becca, thank you for taking the time out today to talk to us. And it's been obviously a pleasure to watch you over these last 4 years. And, really, I think from all of us in the athletic department, we just want to congratulate you on everything that you've accomplished. And I think we're all really looking forward to what you do in your professional life. And we'll definitely keep in touch over the years. Okay, Rebecca, thank you.